Good morning and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 69. Once the great Sufi mystic Hassan was dying, and one of his disciples asked him, "Who was your master, Hassan?" Well, Hassan, he said, "I have had millions of masters, millions, and there is no time to tell you about them all, but let me tell you about three, and that maybe will suffice." So he leaned back upon the pillows where he was laying, and he said, "One of my masters was a thief. Once when I was traveling through the desert, I became lost. And when I finally reached the village I'd been trying to get to, it was very late at night. There was no one to ask where I could stay. No inns were open. But as I walked through the streets, I came to a man who was trying to make a hole through the wall of a house. I stopped and I asked him, 'Do you know where I might be able to stay tonight?' This man, he turned to me and he said, 'It is late. It's very unlikely that you'll find anywhere at all to stay at this late hour. But if you like, you can stay with me if you don't mind staying with the thief.' Well, he was a beautiful man. I ended up staying with him for 1 month. Every night, he would come to me and he said, 'You pray, you rest, and tonight I will go out and I will see what I can do. I will see what I can find. And God willing, perhaps tonight will be the night.' And off he would go with the most beautiful and positive attitude. And when he would come back in the morning, I would ask him, 'Did you get anything?' And he would answer, 'No, I didn't. But God willing, tonight may be the night.' Well, after I left, and for years, I meditated and I meditated and meditated. And there were some days, many days, when I felt like I was getting absolutely nowhere. I would think to myself, what is the point of all this? I try and I try and I try to silence my mind. I try to align myself with God's will, and it all seems so hopeless, so in vain. Why should I go on? I would think to myself. And then I would think about that thief, and I would think about his words. And I would think to myself, yes, tonight, today, maybe tonight or today, by the will of God, by the will of Allah, perhaps tonight will be the night. Another master that I had was a dog. I was traveling, wandering through a barren landscape, and eventually I came to a river. I was thirsty. So I went to the river to drink. There was a dog that came there to drink as well. The dog was obviously thirsty. After I had quenched my thirst, I stood and watched, and the dog would come up to the edge of the river and look into the river and bark and run away. Because each time he would come to the river, he would see his own reflections in the water. And when he saw that reflection, he was afraid and ran away. He was afraid of his own reflection. Thirsty as he was, this happened over and over again, until finally he came to the edge of that river, looked in, and leaped in right where its reflection was. And I realized then that I was getting a message from God that sometimes, despite one's fears, one must jump. One must jump and not think about the fears one has and one holds. Another master was a small child. There was one day, I was in a village. I was walking to the mosque. And there, coming more quickly than myself, was a child. He had cradled in his hands a candle that was lit. And he was taking this candle to the mosque to place it there with the other candles. As he passed, I said, hi there. Tell me, did you light that candle yourself? I asked. And the child said, yes, indeed I did. And tell me then, there was a moment when the candle was unlit, and then there was a moment when the candle was lit. Can you tell me where that light came from? Where the source of the light was? Well, the child looked up at me and smiled. And he blew out the candle. And he looked at me and he said, there was light, you saw it, and now it is gone. Did you see where it went? If you can tell me where it went, then I can tell you where the light came from. Because where the light went is the same place that it came from. It went back to source. Wow. I stood there, dumbfounded, awestruck. The boy continued on his way to the mosque, and I could not move. At that point in time, I gave up all knowledgeability. I considered myself quite stupid. And then and there, I took in the entire existence, the entire creation as my master. The trees, the clouds, the earth itself, every person that I passed, everything that I encountered, all of it was a master to me. Discipleship? What is discipleship? Discipleship only says that a person is open to learn, vulnerable to learn. Be a disciple. Be open to learning. Be open to learning from everything and everyone. A master only helps you to learn how to learn. A master is like a swimming pool in which you learn to swim. But once having learned to swim, then all of the oceans are yours. And those are the wise words from the Sufi master Hassan. Perhaps we should look more closely, with more of an open heart, with more vulnerability to everyone and everything that crosses our path, knowing that it is all our master from whom we can learn. Okay, thanks for joining. Have a good rest of your day.